Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Peace. Thank you for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step blueprint to take you from idea to launch, and basically how to start an e-commerce business from scratch. So like no following, no prior business knowledge, no prior e-commerce experience, because I know there is a lot of jargon out there and I want to help you streamline that process and hopefully tell you about some resources that you might not be aware of. So stay tuned. Before I start, I would love if you hit the subscribe button, please. I do have a hair business and I've also just sold online for quite a while. Like from when I was young, couldn't get a job, no one wanted to hire me. eBay was my best friend, and then since then I've just dabbled in all different types of business models. So straight into the tips. So step one, you're going to want to decide what you want to sell. I would say the best way to go about this is either something you know a lot about. So if you're in a certain industry, like I don't know, if you're a nail tech, then you might want to sell press-on nails because you know a lot about what people need in nails, what problems people have. Another thing can be if it's a solution to a problem that you've either experienced yourself or you've just seen out there. There are a lot of people selling in industries that they haven't experienced themselves. Like there are men selling weave, there are just all sorts. Okay, so it doesn't even have to be something you've experienced, but it might be something you've seen. And another way is looking on Google Trends to see if there's been like a recent spike in a certain area. So for example, as of last year, you probably would have seen spikes in things like home gym equipment, and you could even combine this with maybe a problem that other people are, you've seen people experience in that area. So maybe you notice that there wasn't a lot of a certain type of resistance band, or maybe like portable, if I say portable weights, you can't really, but you know, you get what I mean. Essentially, you're just going to want to find something that there's a need for, because I think the worst thing you can do is going into a business and not even checking if there's a market for it. So definitely, even if you don't want to do the third option, which is just seeing if there's a trend, you can always check on Google keywords and seeing how often it's been searched for, and that will let you know if there's a demand for it. And another way is using certain plugins on Amazon, to see how much people are searching for that term of what you're selling, because Amazon is obviously the biggest marketplace. So if people aren't searching for it on Amazon, it's not to say that it can't be a thing, because sometimes it might be something from scratch that no one knew about, but they should at least be searching for something to maybe solve the problem that your like new innovation is gonna solve. The second, so if you see me looking down, it is my notes because I can't remember all this off my head. The second part, which some people might disagree with, at this stage I would say you need to define your brand, like define your brand purpose, your brand positioning. And branding, a lot of people focus on the visual elements of that, and that's really important. But at this stage, I'll say what you really need to focus on is your brand positioning. Like, how are you gonna position yourself in your industry? Like, are you gonna be the one that's more affordable, more to a certain type of clientele? Because that you're gonna need to get that established before you start looking for suppliers, because it's going to really govern the type of supplier or manufacturer maybe you have to work with when you know exactly how you're trying to position yourself. Okay, so the third step at this point, this is going to breeze over this point because this is not my speciality. It is like setting up, once you've established that this is a business you're going to do, I would just highly suggest just going, be informal about it from the very beginning, like getting yourself set up as a proper business from the beginning. But in terms of whether you should be, in the UK at least, like between a sole partnership, a private limited company, and I know in the US you have like LLCs and S Corp and some other things, and I know it's going to vary between different countries. Do your proper due diligence, speak to someone professional if you can, or look on some sort of professional board for what the different, because what it's going to come down to is your tax benefits, and it's just not something you want to play about with. So definitely look into getting proper credible sources on this area, and then decide how you want to set yourself up as a business from the very beginning, once you've decided what you're going to sell and that you're going to pursue this. The fourth step is deciding how you want to source your product. Or essentially, there are 5 main ways in e-commerce that you can go about this. So you can do the dropshipping model, which you might have heard of, which is when you don't hold the inventory, the supplier sends it straight to your customer. So you get an order on your website, and then there will be either some sort of back-end system where you might have to manually send this order onto your supplier and they will ship it onto your customer. There are obviously pros and cons of this. I'm not going to get too deep into that because that is a whole nother topic on its own. There is also DIY, making things handmade. So I see a lot of people doing this in the hair industry with like hair products, like actual topical products. I do see that happening a lot, and people come up with like organic skincare and things like that. It's quite common nowadays. But yeah, that can be time consuming, but obviously you have more quality control. It's a bit more of a personal feel. You can have a very unique formula without another disadvantage of a thing I'm going to go into in a minute. So handmade DIY is another option depending on what you're selling. The other thing I was going to go into in a minute, which is now, is using custom making things with a manufacturer. So there are obviously people that specialize in manufacturing every single product there is out there. They will obviously be very specialized in this, and they can custom make your formula. A lot of times they're easier to approve. If you've got, for example, if you are doing something like hair care, you might need to be approved by the FDA, and they might have the resources to do things like that, and a lot easier than you would if you were making it by yourself. But they often have quite a high MOQ, which is minimum order quantity, and so if you don't have a lot of capital to invest in the beginning, that can be a bit long. So this is why I think a lot of people go down the handmade route. Or you could use private label. So those same manufacturers, you can put your own branding on it. You can still quality test it and it might still be amazing, and then you can put your own branding on it and private label it, and just it can become your product essentially, because no one will know that it's already been like, it's not a bespoke creation, but it's still fulfilling the purposes of your brand. And a lot of people do that, and that's fine. And wholesale is another one. So you might just want to know that back to the hair care, you might know you want to sell hair care, but rather than making your own, you might just want to be a wholesaler of As I Am, Aunt Jackie's, Shea Moisture, and all of those other brands out there. That's another option, and I think people sleep on that. And yeah, also sometimes you might start with one and then move on to another. So for example, if you did want to have something bespokely manufactured, but you know that you're going to need a lot of capital, you might start with private label or start with wholesaling, and that will build the capital to get you to that point where you can invest in bespoke creations, and that's also fine. So step 5, now it's going to be the stage where you start speaking to suppliers. Again, this is a whole nother topic because trust me, I know popular places to find suppliers. Alibaba, I'm sure you've heard of. DHgate is another one. Another way you can use that most people don't really talk about is checking on Instagram and using the name of your product, hashtag the name of your product manufacturer, hashtag the name of your product wholesaler, hashtag the name of your product supplier. So you could be like hashtag clothing wholesaler or whatever, and just going through the hashtags, because a lot of these manufacturing companies will use Instagram to market their services. You obviously have to do your due diligence here and make sure that whatever you find has a proper website that looks credible, and you can use a payment system that will like back you up, something like PayPal. Don't go transferring funds to anyone. Dropshipping ones, I know a lot of people use dropship from AliExpress. I just think in this day and age, especially with the Rona, everything's moving a bit mad with shipping. I'm sorry if I keep swinging my chair, I need to stop. And some dropshipping stores I've heard of that are good: Zendrop, Spocket. And I'm gonna try and put let me not point like I know what I'm doing for editing, but I'm gonna try and put the name somewhere. And CJ Dropshipping, I think I've heard of those. The next step is in naming your business. You do want to make sure the first thing you do when you come up with any names, what I tend to do is just like brainstorm loads of things, then I'll check if they're all available domain wise. You want to make sure the .com is available, and also trademarks, make sure there's no trademarks against the name. So also at the naming stage, make sure it's nothing that's hard to spell, because that's going to make your life and your customer's life long. Also get feedback, just have a brain dump, like I said, list out different ideas, and then just ask people around you, hopefully people around you that could be a potential customer or fit into your target customer profile. And I would say it's always nice for a name to have some sort of meaning, whether that's relevant to your company, what you're selling, or whether that's something personal to you. Just have some sort of story. So when people ask you, how do you cut their name? Because by God's grace, this your business is going to blow one day. So when you're doing interviews, people are asking you, how do you name that? You don't want to really say you did it if they do. Like, you want to have some sort of story behind it. So that's definitely something I would keep in mind. And also, you want to make sure that your name isn't limiting. So you don't want to start saying, if you know you might branch out into other industries, you don't want to say something that's going to limit you to one. So don't be doing Barry's glosses if you want to start selling foundation one day. Do you know what I mean? Try and keep it broad, think of the long term, and just brainstorm and ask around. So if you have e-commerce business, comment below, let me know what you sell or what you're thinking of selling. If you're thinking of starting an e-commerce business, it'll be really interesting to know what kind of industries you're in, and also like where do you sell if you have your own website, or if you sell on somewhere else, which I'll get into. But yeah, let me know. The next stage is creating a logo. Now you got your name, you can create your logo. If you're not a design expert, there are people that do logos quite cheap. Just make sure you have some sort of brief to give them. You can check on Fiverr, Upwork for people that make logos, or you can ask around. Most people have someone in their vicinity of group that is into graphic design somehow, so a lot of people have that skill set, so definitely look into that. Place you can look for inspo is a website called Dribble. I used to use it a lot when I worked in UX. You can use it for design inspo. Pinterest also has good inspo. When you want to hire someone to make your logo, you do want to have some sort of brief or some sort of idea of what you want. So it's good to get some inspiration, especially if you're not someone who's good at creating things from scratch visually. If you want to look into making it yourself, you can use a website called Noun Project for icons. They're a really good one. I don't think most people know about. You have to pay a few dollars, like $3, to use it without a watermark. Canva, obviously a lot of people use Canva. I just think with Canva, try to change it a little bit from what they give you, because those templates are really for everyone, if you know what I mean. If you want it to have a bit more of a bespoke feel, then I would say just really try to like change it up. But if you don't, then it can just be, because logos are something you can always change in the future, so I wouldn't overthink it, to be honest. If you have the budget or the resources or the access to it, Illustrator is a good one as well. You might need to upskill yourself a bit in it, but it can be a really good option to make a logo. And also make sure for your logos you always have different variations of it. So you do want to have your logo. I learned this the hard way. You want to have your logo, and I think the thing I knew better. I started my business. I dared to be ready to launch. I just decided to launch a bit later because I just wanted it to be after the new year. This was in 2019. I did it in about 3 weeks. So some of these things got skimmed past, not gonna lie, but this is best practice essentially. Yeah, with your logos, you want to make sure you have different variations. So you want to have text only, and you want to have the logo in different colors, transparent background, all of that, because you want it to work in different scenarios as opposed to just having one, because you'll find when you're using that logo in different places, it's not always gonna work. So you do want to make sure you have it in different formats. Yeah, I think stop counting, but this is the 8th step. You want to decide on your sales channels, so you can either use your own website, which has the benefit of having a more like personal relationship with your customers, because you can email them, they'll get to know you for your site, as opposed to selling on a marketplace. You might upload your product and leverage their audience, but they can also suggest other people's products that are similar to yours underneath, kind of thing. So it's like there are pros and cons of both. Again, any of these points that you want to know more about, let me know, because they are all like topics, courses, programs on their own, but this is just again a blueprint kind of thing of what the different steps and milestones you should be hitting to get you from idea to launch. But you want to decide what sales channel you want to use. So if you're creating your own website, the common ones to use are Shopify, Squarespace, Wix, WooCommerce are the popular ones. I use Shopify. A lot of people use Shopify, and a lot of people that I've spoken to, like coaches and stuff, they will say that Shopify is just really it, because Shopify is built for e-commerce, and when someone is a master of one, it's going to be optimized for that kind of business model. Whereas Wix, people with like service-based businesses will be using it. Squarespace, people with like portfolio-based businesses will be using it, and that's not bad. It doesn't mean you can't do e-commerce, but it's not gonna do what Shopify can do. It's not gonna be maxed out. And people say Shopify is expensive. I thought it's about £30 a month for the basic plan. I thought that's quite decent, because you do the hope is if you do everything properly, you should be making quite a bit more than that. Even in your, from the very get-go, you should be making, if you plan properly, come with a proper launch strategy, a proper marketing strategy, you should be making far more than £30 from the get-go. So I think it's really worth it. Like, and yeah, a lot of marketplaces as well, eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Facebook Marketplace, they again have the benefit of leveraging their audiences, their traffic, but you won't get to like, it'll be harder to like remarket to those customers. So there's pros and cons. You need to decide, and they obviously also take a cut. For example, Amazon have this this service called Amazon FBA where they'll be the one to ship it. So again, it's kind of like the benefits of drop shipping, but you can ship it from your country or wherever you want to sell to, and them cuts are mad. Those cuts are mad. I think they take, is it like 30%, 40%? I don't even know, but they take cuts. They take cuts. So you're gonna have to make sure your profit margins are healthy to be like a profitable business and still use that service. Then you want to decide on your launch strategy. That is a whole nother thing, and don't listen to what anyone says. There is no one size fits all. It's going to be very unique to you, your product, your goals for your first month, but there are like some best practices I guess you can implement, and I would just say just make sure you have a waiting list of some sort, so that you can build anticipation, build your social following for as long as possible before you launch. And there's just so many different ways to go about that, and there's so many different ways that could work for your business. But just make sure you're being on it with your content and you're really showing people who you are, what you're about, and just building brand awareness. And slowly but surely you will build a wait list. And then the final point is going to sound a bit like sure, but honestly, just getting your minds right. This is going to be a process. It's not gonna click overnight for a lot of people. Again, this is aimed more at people starting from scratch. You don't have a following, you don't have prior experience. A lot of it is going to be testing and learning and getting feedback along the way and making tweaks to your business based off of what's working, and that's absolutely fine. Like, it's just something that you need to kind of put yourself out there, get over those beginner's nerves, as I know from even doing this video, because I've been like but you just need to do it, and then eventually things are going to make more sense. You're going to get better. Like, I know I'm going to look back at this video one day and be like, please, what the hell were you playing at? But you got to start from somewhere. You actually have to start from somewhere. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, press the notification bell, like, comment especially, please. Let me know what you liked, what your favorite tip was, or what you'd like to see more of, what you didn't like even. Just let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, see you next time. Bye.